or less respectful in our manners as a society? Yeah, go ahead.
I think, but this is another subject. The
That's fine.
gun control issues that we're dealing with now, sort of more recent, but I think we live in a different era now where I was looking at one of my parents' yearbooks back in the early '60s, and they had a rifle association where they actually competed against other high schools, and I couldn't imagine them having that now because we live in an age where sadistic people go into movie theaters in elementary schools and shoot people up, and so now we're having to put provisions on the right to bear arms, and I think that's sort of like something that's changing.
Okay, so you're talking about, I mean, you may not have intended this, but you then broached on the subject of the culture of violence in our society. I don't know. I'm actually going to step out and offer an opinion of my own here. I don't know if I would agree. I think America has always been a very violent place. We just happen to be a better armed violent place now, a higher level of technology, so we can do more damage at one point in time. Look, it may very well be that you're right, that violence has gone up to a level to some degree, but we have always been a very violent society.
You wouldn't say that it's sort of exponentially gotten worse? Because, I mean, you look at the
I don't know if I'd say exponentially.
But, I mean, during the time, you didn't have like random sadistic people who just went into theaters and elementary schools and shot people up. I mean, during that time, it was...
We may have greater mental health problems. I'm not sure. I'm just going to say I'm not sure. So I will put it on the board. But I'm not certain that there really has been that fundamental a shift in our society that we've gotten noticeably and radically more violent. I don't know.
Maybe in a small community, I can see what he's saying. Maybe in a community, but...
I would even challenge that. You know, small communities were violent places too. There were always... You know, there was always domestic abuse in our country. There was always family violence. Here's the difference. We didn't learn about it. Media coverage of violence is simply more present, more omnipresent than it tended to be in the past. If somebody killed their wife or their husband in the 1960s, that wouldn't necessarily be considered news. It is now, and you hear about it the next day, right? So, look, I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm saying I'm not sure, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like a lot of anti-bullying campaigns and stuff. Like we said, media.
Yeah.
Like when I was little, they ain't have that stuff. I mean, like, where was that at?
Is this something that we need to talk about later? Because technically I'm not allowed to do that. There is counseling, though, if we need that. No, I think what you guys are talking about is that
You should be in bird.
there are a lot of things that we pay more attention to now. I mean, this might also be part of this. There's also a greater sense of political correctness that as a society we've at least decided to pay more attention or give more lip service to the idea of being concerned about the feelings of all members of our society, whether they are female, whether they are minorities, whether they have learning disabilities, whereas before people just didn't pay attention to these things.
I would agree with you that you're politically correct, but when you watch shows like American Dad and Family Guy where they have 30 minutes of racist jokes, and then
but the whole purpose, though, would you not agree, is to
top.
buck the trend.
Yeah, it's over the
And in a
top.
way, almost to create humor by saying, look, we're not really racist, or we're actually throwing this in your face to remind you that one way of dealing with racism